Welcome everybody to day one of the RC. Thank you all so much for being here. I hope that this practice will help get you ready and prepped for a day of learning and integrating mind expansion. These RCs are always so informative. So as we move through our practice this morning as well as the rest of the week, if there is anything that doesn't feel okay in your body, please listen to what's happening for you, not what's happening for me or what's happening for anybody around in your space if you are practicing with other people. So please focus on yourself because I can't see you. I really have to put a lot of trust in you that you'll listen to your body. If you're new to yoga, just follow along the best that you can. Feel free to take moments out to just watch and kind of step back. I will kind of over explain a little bit in these classes. So for those of you who are really seasoned yogis, pardon that, but I want to make sure that I'm giving enough cues for anybody because we are working with a great span of experience and participation. So bear with me on all of that. All right, well, let's go ahead and dive in. So we will start in a seated practice. If you have a contemplative practice that is familiar, that you enjoy, feel free to go ahead and drop into that space. If a quiet, silent practice is something new to you, then do your best to simply be with whatever arises. There is no right or wrong here. We will allow our awareness to settle into our breath. Giving our mind something to focus on can help it quiet from all of the busyness of our day. Maybe any anxiety or anticipation for what's ahead today. Maybe it's quite early in the morning where you are, so you're just waking up. Maybe later in the day, you've got a whole or a partial day ahead of you already, behind you already. So simply feel those sits bones grounding down into either your cushion or your yoga mat. And we'll start to bring awareness into our body. Those sits bones can be a great place to harness our awareness. Feel them pressing into the earth. Notice that with subtle shifts of your body weight, that sensation changes. Maybe noticing if one sits bone feels like it's making a stronger contact than the other. We're just taking in the cues that we're receiving from our physical body. Gaining an understanding of what's happening in the body here in this seated, still position can help our body to tune in to what's happening as we shift shapes. We're just almost as if we're building that awareness muscle. How does it feel in this moment to feel those sits bones? How does it feel in this moment to slightly shift the weight? And now combining this physical awareness with our breath, with that next inhale, let the belly expand out in all directions. Almost feel that inhale grounds you even a little bit deeper into those sits bones. And then let the exhale just gently seep out of the body. We'll take another long inhale together here. Exhale gently seeps away. And we'll begin exaggerating that motion of changing the body weight from one side of your body to the other. So go ahead and lean a little heavy into that right sits bone. And then shift so you're leaning a little heavy into the pubic bone. We'll shift to lean a little heavy into the left sits bone. And then a little heavy into our tailbone. So we'll let this movement continue with ease and grace, making little circles with the pelvis. And as you get more comfortable with that fluid motion, maybe letting those circles get a little bit bigger, coming up into the belly, into the ribs, through the chest and the shoulders, keeping them nice and slow so we can really feel the variations of that movement, beginning to open through the ribs, through the spine, through the collarbones, and maybe even incorporate the head. As we come forward, the gaze looks up to where your wall and ceiling meet, and as we come to the back of the sits bones, the chin drops down towards the chest. And we'll keep these circles nice and big and take them in the other direction. So incorporating the head, neck, collarbones, shoulders. Expanding the lungs into the ribs, through the belly, hips, and sits bones. And from here, we'll come back to stillness, sit up nice and tall, and let your inhale bring your arms to the sky. Reaching through the fingers, drop those shoulder blades down the spine. Fingertips are reaching strong to the sky. Sits bones are grounded into the earth and belly strong here. Long inhale. On the exhale, we're gonna arc in one direction. Either side is fine, whatever feels most comfortable for you. And then come back through center. We'll arc in the opposite direction. And back through center. Hands float down by our sides. We bring our hands behind the back of the body, interlace the fingers, reach the knuckles towards the earth, squeeze those shoulder blades together, open through heart center. Nice big breath here. And on the exhale, we'll bring our chin towards our chest, continue reaching those knuckles out away from the body. We've got a long line now from the base of the skull to the tops of the shoulders. And with our next inhale, slowly release, coming back to center. Big circles with those shoulders in one direction and then the other. And from here, we'll go ahead and slide off the cushion if you are seated up on one. If you're just flat down on your mat, go ahead and bring your feet out nice and wide. Toes are gonna reach towards the sky. We're bringing our feet out towards the corners of the mat. Hands can rest down in front of us. And we'll just start by kind of passively opening up those adductors and hamstrings. So we're just gonna rest here. If you feel that you don't have a stretch yet, you can bring your toes towards the sky. But this might be enough, just letting the feet rest where they are. You're welcome to also come slightly forward onto the front sides of those sits bones. Again, we're just being nice and gentle here. We want to be really mindful with the inside and the back of the knee, and mindful with where those adductors come up and attach onto our pelvis. We want to move nice and slow, especially in the early morning. If you haven't done a lot of walking yet, just be really gentle with yourself. Long inhale, center of the head reaches for the sky, fingertips reach towards the earth. Sit up nice and tall, strong belly. From here, we're gonna bend the elbows and lean slightly to the left. So as you lean in, bend those elbows, and then we're gonna slowly come forward and then lean to the right and come all the way back to center. We'll bend the elbows and lean to the right first, coming forward, lean to the left, and back to center. We'll go one more time each side. So bending those elbows, coming forward, all the way to the right and back to center. Strong body here. Lean to the right, come forward, left, and back to center. Sitting up nice and tall. Maybe now we can really reach those toes towards the sky as the legs have opened up a little bit. Get right up on top of those sits bones. We're going to turn to the right. We want this turn to come from our belly. So think about using those belly muscles to turn to the right. And then when you feel like you're as far as that core is going to let you go, you can bring the hands down to either side of the right leg. The hands become a little bit of an anchor rather than putting the hands down first and then pulling the body into a twist. We want to think about really engaging through the core. Sitting up nice and tall here, gaze over the right toes, long inhale. On our exhale, we'll slowly start to walk the hands towards that right ankle. Forehead is going to come down towards the knee. Let that gaze drop to the right knee. We want to think about keeping the left sits bone grounded down into the earth. Long breaths here. The left toes are staying up towards the sky. We want to be mindful that those left toes aren't rolling in. And slowly return to center on the exhale as we unwind. Long, deep breath here. We're going to turn to the left again. Use the belly. Twist as if you were wringing out a towel here. Twisting through the core. Hands land on either side of that left leg. Long and strong through the spine. And as you're ready, you can go ahead and start to walk towards the left ankle. Letting your gaze come down towards that left knee. Forehead comes towards the knee. And we want to keep the right sits bone grounded into the earth. Right toes stay pressing towards the sky. And we'll breathe here, opening through the side body. Gently opening those hamstrings. And with our next inhale, come back to center. Exhale, we unwind. Go ahead and place the hands underneath those knees. We're going to help pull the knees in. Toes come together, soles of the feet come together, and we'll find our way into Baddha Konasana. Let those heels come as close as you can get them in towards the pelvis. We're going to wrap our fingers around our toes. Next inhale opens the chest. We sit up nice and tall. Knees make their way towards the earth. And we're going to find a forward fold from here. So we want to keep the spine long. As we come forward, we keep our gaze out in front until we feel like we are at the end of our motion. And then we can let head, neck, and shoulders drop towards the toes. Breathing here in Baddha Konasana. Again, those knees are making their way towards the earth. Feel a softening in the hips. If you feel any pain in the knee, back off. We want to be mindful of those joints. And our next inhale will bring us back to center. Knees come together. We'll extend our feet all the way out in front. Letting those toes reach up towards the sky. On the inhale, arms rise. Reach through the fingers. Keep the sits bones grounded into the earth. Bring those toes up as high as you can get them. Kneecaps come back toward you. Maybe even lift your heels up off of the earth. We'll take a long, strong breath here. On the exhale, let the heels make their way towards the earth. Fingertips float out over those toes. Hands are going to land either on the lower leg, maybe down beside the legs, or you can reach out towards your ankles or your toes. We want to keep the sits bones rolling out behind us. So maybe that means the knees need to come into a little bit of a bend. Forehead makes its way towards the knees, but definitely not trying to touch forehead to knees here. We want to just be really mindful that we are keeping the spine long, the sits bones rolled out behind us, and the toes towards the sky. Focusing on the safety of our body here, not necessarily trying to push or press into positions that aren't good for us. You might be preparing to sit for several hours today. So just giving yourself the opportunity to have these nice long legs before we come into a little bit more of a flexed position. And then we'll take one more long breath here, reaching out through those heels, reaching out through the sits bones. And slowly make our way back to center. We're going to take just a moment to find ourselves onto hands and knees. If you want to place a blanket underneath those knees, feel free to do so if it's not comfortable for you to be just simply on the cushion of your yoga mat. Peeling the belly up and away from the earth, we want to find a strong tabletop. So we're not just resting here. We're not letting our chest sag or our belly sag. We want to press through the hands, a gentle tuck in that pelvis to have a nice long spine. Belly strong here. To feel that activation, we're going to press the tops of the feet down into the earth and lift the knees just slightly. That lift will help you feel the activation of the belly. Go ahead and lower the knees, trying to keep the core nice and strong. So we're in strong tabletop here. Gaze is down in between the hands. Find your breath. And then slowly shift the weight into that right knee. The left leg extends out behind us. We're going to attempt to get that left leg parallel with the earth. You're always welcome to keep the toes on the ground if that feels more right for you. As we reach through that left heel, we can stay here or bring the right hand out in front, finding bird dog. So again, feel into what's right. Strength of the toes is in the belly. Really reach through that left heel. Reach through those right fingers. We're going to take one more long breath here. And on the exhale, go ahead and lower the hand to the earth. We'll keep the foot where it is and then gently bend the knee so the sole of the foot's facing the sky. With our next inhale, we're gonna lift the heel towards the heavens. Again, as we do this, think about strong belly. So we don't wanna come into a deep arch where the belly drops towards the earth. We wanna keep that belly strong, spines long, reach through the heel. One more breath here. Feel those glutes activate. And on the exhale, go ahead and extend. Left leg's gonna come around to the right side of the body. Press those toes down into the ground. And then we're gonna gaze over our right shoulder. Opening through the left side of the body, releasing those lateral rotators. And releasing the glutes. We'll take one more breath. And slowly return to center, finding that strong tabletop. Again, if you need that assistance for activating the belly, go ahead and lift the knees just an inch or so off the ground, and then slowly return back into your tabletop. We're gonna shift our weight so that the right leg extends out behind. Again, parallel with the earth if possible, otherwise somewhere down so that the toes are either resting on the earth or maybe just slightly above. And then you're welcome to stay here, or the left arm can reach out in front. Strong belly, long spine, gaze is down at the fingertips. If it feels okay on your neck, you're welcome to look out over those left fingers, but if that feels like that crunches your neck, then keep your gaze at the floor. And from here, left hand comes back down to the earth. We're gonna bend that right knee and then again, lift through that right heel. Keep the belly strong, engage those glutes. We want to be mindful that the thoracic spine stays nice and long here. Again, we don't want our belly draping towards the earth. And then we'll extend that leg out behind us. Right foot comes across the left side of the body. We'll press the toes down into the earth and gaze over the left shoulder. Long, deep, nourishing breath. And from here, slowly make your way back to center, finding that nice strong tabletop. We're gonna keep our knees and our hips where they are and walk our hands out towards the top of the mat. Forehead comes to the earth. We're in our extended puppy. We're gonna press the palms down into the earth, really brace those armpits. Sits bones are rolling towards the sky. And we find our breath here. With our next inhale, we're gonna rise up just enough to slide the left arm underneath that right armpit and gently lower ourselves down on the outside of that left shoulder. Left cheek is welcome to come to the earth. Again, as we lower down, we wanna be really careful that we're not collapsing into that shoulder. Use that right hand for support, maybe even bring the right hand back so it's just in front of the face if you need a little bit more support on that shoulder. Most important is we're not just collapsing the body. We'll take one more breath here. The stretch is coming all the way from the pinky finger up the outside of that left arm, reaching around to the spine. And with our inhale, we'll come back to center. Left hand reaches out in front. Forehead is on the earth. We're in our extended puppy. And with our next inhale, rise up just enough to slide the right arm underneath the left. Gently lower down on the outside of that right shoulder. Again, if you're suffering from any shoulder injuries or rib injuries, just be really mindful. This might not be the pose for you. We'll take one more long breath here. Feel that stretch from the pinky finger, wrapping around the shoulder, coming into the spine. And from here, we'll release. We're gonna walk our hands back towards our knees as we shift into child's pose. Forehead to the floor, hands can reach around by the toes, letting those shoulders have a little bit of a break as we make our way into infant. We'll take a nice long breath here. And slowly pressing up, coming back up to all fours. Finding that strong tabletop. We'll take one more breath here. And let's curl our toes under. We're gonna rotate our sits bones towards the sky, press through those hands, and then shift your weight back to the heels. We're making our way into downward dog. We're gonna come in nice and slow. So keep those knees bent. Shift your weight from left to right. We're gonna take one leg at a time. So go ahead and bend that left knee nice and deep. And we're gonna straighten through the right leg. Right heel makes its way towards the earth. Right sits bone makes its way towards the sky. Being mindful that we're not collapsing all of our weight into our hands. And from here, we're gonna shift. Bend that left knee, or excuse me, bend that right knee, left knee lengthens, left leg lengthens. Reaching out through that left sits bone. And then finding center, both knees are bent. We want to roll our sits bones to the sky. So find a nice long straight back here. I'd rather have a straight back and bent knees than straight legs and a rounded back. Okay, so being really mindful here. And then depending on how your legs are feeling this morning, you can let the heels make their way a little bit closer towards the earth, maybe roll the sits bones a little higher towards the sky, and maybe moving from a deep bend to a shallow bend. We'll take one more breath here. And with our next inhale, we're going to step the right foot forward, bringing that right foot up in between the hands. We're going to ground our feet for warrior one. So take time to find the foundation first. Heel of the right foot's in line with the instep of the left. Right knee comes directly over that right ankle. From here, we press up. Reaching our fingers towards the sky, we want to square off the hips. Hips are facing directly forward. Arms are reaching towards the sky. Shoulders are soft. Go ahead and let that gaze be steady out on something in front of you. Lifting through the center of the head. Give yourself time to make these micro movements, these little adjustments to find that proper alignment. With our next inhale, we're going to come up on those left toes, reaching the fingers towards the sky. Really feel the length in the body here. Feel that spine lengthen, fingertips lengthen. From this long position, we'll lower the heel back down to the earth. One more deep breath. And on the exhale, hands come around the back of the body. We'll interlace the fingers, reach the knuckles towards that left heel. Shoulders roll down and back, heart is open. And from here, we'll fold forward, taking humble warrior. Shoulder makes its way down towards the knee. Gaze at the toes. Feel that strength in the right quads, that right leg's nice and active. Right foot's really pressing down into the earth. As we come up, keep that strength in that right leg, pressing through the right foot. Engage the belly. And then the glutes help us stand up nice and tall. Arms rise. We're back in warrior one. And with our next inhale, we're going to kick off those left toes. Step the left foot forward to meet the right. Hands come down by our sides and we're in our mountain, feeling our weight evenly distributed between both feet. We're going to lift through the center of the head. Shoulders are soft, fingers are draping towards the earth. You're welcome to close your eyes. Feel that balance inside. Notice where you are in space. And we'll shift our weight onto the left foot, step the right foot behind, finding warrior one. Square off those hips. Again, being mindful that the foundation of the pose is most important. Really ground those feet, strengthen the legs. Pelvis is at a gentle tuck. Hips are square. And then we can let the arms rise, finding our warrior one. Shoulders are down the spine, fingers are reaching towards the heavens. Feeling the strength in the belly, maybe even noticing a gentle tuck in that tailbone to create a lot of length down the low back. And then we bring strength into the low belly. You can also think about bringing that pubic bone towards the bottom ribs. How does that cue help bring strength into that low belly? From here, come up on those right toes, find that length, stand up tall. And then keeping that length, we'll lower the right heel back to the earth. Warrior one, breathe here. And we'll lower our hands down around the back of the body. Interlace those fingers, knuckles reach towards the right heel, open through the heart. Left knee stays directly above or somewhere behind the ankle, being real mindful that that left knee is not jutting out over the toes. From here, shoulder comes down to the knee, finding humble warrior. Our gaze is at the earth. Lots of strength in the legs here. We'll take our time coming up, really press through that left foot. Think about kidney 1 bubbling well, that spot on the ball of the foot, just below the third toe, grounding that point down into the earth as we press up. Strong through the quads, engage the glutes to bring us all the way to standing. Arms rise, warrior 1. And slowly kick off those right toes. We're going to step forward, finding our mountain. Letting the hands straight by our sides. Being really mindful of these transitions. The transitions are just as important as the poses. Move through with grace and ease. Notice here in your mountain if there's any holding in the body that's not necessary. Is the jaw soft? Are the shoulders soft? Fingers draping towards the earth. Being mindful that the knees are not locked. So we've got some buoyancy in the knees. Really taking advantage of the structure of our body so that we can work a little less. I always want to find the places within our pose where we can bring more grace and ease, bring more space. And with our next inhale, arms rise to the sky. Palms come to touch. Gently press the palms into one another as we fold forward. Back stays long. That spine is erect all the way down to our horizon. And then we fold, letting the fingertips come towards the earth. Head is heavy. Maybe a gentle shake of the head, yes. A gentle shake of the head, no. Roll those sits bones to the heavens. And we'll place our hands just below the knees. Let's find a flat back. Lifting through the spine, belly comes nice and strong. Think about that strong belly from our tabletop position. Bring that in here. And exhale, fold forward. And from here, we're going to shift our weight onto the right foot. Let's step the left foot out behind us. We're going to bring that foot a little bit further for warrior 2. Right knee comes directly over that right ankle, and we're going to press up. Arms come out at our sides here, reaching through the fingers. Again, being mindful that that right knee stays directly above or somewhere behind the ankle. We don't want that right knee out over the ankle. Make sure you can see all 5 toes out through the top, on the top of that knee. Our left foot is slightly turned in towards midline. The edge of the foot can be parallel with the edge of the mat. We just don't want those toes pointing out behind us. So a slight turn towards midline, a little bit safer on the hips. And in warrior 2, we want our hips now directly out towards the large edge of the mat rather than turn towards that right knee. As the arms reach out, our gaze is over the right fingers. Think about having those hands float in space. Shoulders are strong, belly strong. One more breath here, warrior 2. On our exhale, we'll find peaceful warrior. Right arm rises, left hand comes down to rest either gently on the back of that left leg, or it can reach behind us, reaching for the right hip. Gaze can be up at the sky, really opening through the side body. And with our next inhale, we'll come back into warrior 2. Gaze over the right fingers, soft shoulders, strong belly. We're going to transition through goddess. So with our next inhale, we'll find 5-pointed star. Arms rise to the sky. We turn all 10 toes to face the long edge of the mat. Engage through those glutes. Reach the heart, reach the fingers to the sky. And as we move from 5-pointed star into goddess, we're going to bring the heels in slightly towards midline. So the toes are now pointing out at an angle. Arms come into goalpost arms. We drop straight down and we're in goddess. Reaching the pelvis towards the earth, feel the strength in those quads. Again, we want to be mindful that the knees are directly over the ankles or somewhere behind. We don't want to jet those knees out over the ankles. We'll take one more long breath here, lift through the spine, lift through the center of the head. Making our way back into 5-pointed star. Reach through those fingers. We'll turn the toes to face forward. Lift and open through the heart. And from here, we'll find warrior 2 on the left. We'll turn those left toes to face the skinny edge of the mat. Arms come down at a T. Left knee directly over the ankle. Think about where those right toes are, directly forward or slightly towards midline, just not out at an angle. Strong belly, long spine. We'll take one more deep breath here. We'll make our way into peaceful warrior on the exhale. Left arm rises, right hand comes down to the back of the right leg or reaching around for that left hip. Opening through the side, body breathing deep into that left lung. And from here, we'll find warrior two. One more breath. On the exhale, we're going to windmill our hands down to that left foot. Bringing both hands to the earth, we're going to step back for plank. Strong belly, long spine. And the knees come to the earth and we'll find child's pose. Forehead to the floor, shift the hips back to those heels. We'll breathe here. And with our next inhale, let's find that tabletop. Strong belly. And from tabletop, we're going to crisscross our feet behind us. Shift the weight back and then bring the feet out in front. Go ahead and scoot your bottom towards the center of the mat. And from here, we're going to make our way down to our backs. Go ahead and hold on to those knees, rolling down one vertebrae at a time as the knees come into the chest. Give those knees a great big hug, maybe a gentle rock from side to side. And we'll place our feet on the earth, keep those knees standing. From here, we're going to bring the left ankle on top of that right quad. Flex the left foot, being mindful to keep the tendons and ligaments of the ankle and foot nice and safe. So left foot stays flexed. The left hand's going to come to the inside of that left knee or the inside of the left thigh and ever so slightly press the knee away. Just about 10 or 20% of your effort here. We're just opening the front of that hip joint. Again, really gentle here. And on the exhale, slowly release. We're going to bring the right leg in towards us, placing our hands on that right hamstring. You can reach for the right shin if that feels okay for you. Now flex both feet. From here, we're going to breathe into the outside of that left hip. Nice deep hip opener. If this feels too much for you, go ahead and lower the right foot back down onto the earth and just allow that left ankle to stay crossed over on top of the right quad. One more deep breath here. And with our exhale, we'll go ahead and release and then gently unwind. Right ankle comes on top of the left quad. Flex that right foot. Again, that right hand's going to come to the inside of the knee or the leg, and then ever so slightly press away, just enough so you start to feel a little bit of an opening in that anterior hip socket. And from here, we'll slowly release. Let the left knee come in towards us, holding onto hamstrings or shin of that left leg. And then again, we're going to flex both feet. Find your breath. And from here, slowly release the left foot back down to the earth. Go ahead and unwind. We're going to bring our feet a little bit wider than our hips, so our feet are taking up the full width of the mat. Arms come out at a T. From here, we're going to drop both knees to the right, and then let your gaze look over the left hand. Enjoying a little bit of a spinal twist here, as well as opening through the front of that left leg, releasing the quad, the hip flexors, releasing the psoas and belly. Take a couple nice long deep breaths here, really opening the front of the body before we spend the day in a little bit of a folded position, sitting at the computer. A great position to drop into several times today, maybe in between your classes or on breaks. Just opening through the chest releases that arms forward and head forward posture. Gentle twist through the spine helps release through the belly, open the hips, keep those hip flexors nice and open. And with our next inhale, we'll come back to center and then go ahead and bring the knees to the left, gaze over the right shoulder. And with our next inhale, we'll come back to center. Walk the feet together and then extend the legs all the way down the mat. Let the feet flop open from here. Hands can stay where they are, or you're welcome to bring them by your sides. You want to allow the palms to be open to the space in the room. If it's comfortable for you to close the eyes, feel free to do so. Placing the tongue right behind the front two teeth, where the teeth meet the roof of the mouth, allows the jaw to be open and at rest. Putting our body into this position to recognize Shavasana can help the mind to come into its state of rest and restoration as well. We want to allow the heels to be heavy on the earth, with the toes floating in space. Feeling the sacrum press deeply into the earth, holding the pelvis. Feeling the back of the heart connect into the earth. Grounded and stable allows the heart to open in all directions. And the back of the skull is grounded into the earth. Being holding us, rooting us here so that we can open into clarity, open into seeing all, open into our intuition, our deep knowing, our trust. And from here, we simply find our breath, watching the rise and fall of each inhale and exhale. If you notice that the mind wanders away, just simply bring it back into your breath. We don't have to judge or create a story around that. Just simply allow the awareness to come into the rise and fall of each inhale and exhale. Again, knowing and understanding that it is the role of the mind to think, create, expand. But we can use our breath as an anchor or a guide to help keep the mind here in this present moment. Allowing the body to be held by the earth, the mind to be held by the breath. Allowing the exhale to release with it any expectations, anticipations, anxieties, worries. Allowing your mind and your heart to take ease and refuge in the breath. Knowing there's nowhere else to be, nothing else to do. You've already given yourself permission to spend this time with mind, body, spirit, and breath. And with our next inhale, we'll bring our awareness into the right hand. Curling those 5 fingers in towards the palm. Give just a very gentle little squeeze. Roll the wrist in one direction and then the other. Coming back into stillness as we unfurl the fingers. Our awareness travels over to the left hand. Curling the fingers in. A gentle squeeze, rolling that wrist in one direction and then the other. Finding stillness as we unfurl the fingers. Let the awareness travel down into the toes, pointing the toes, flexing the toes, flexing the feet, maybe even rolling those ankles. And then again, we'll find stillness. We'll allow our left heel to slide up the mat as the heel gets close to the sits bone. Stand the knee. From here, right heel slides up the mat as it gets close to the sits bone. Stand the right knee. Gentle pelvic tuck. And then tailbone to the earth. And back to center. Picking up the hips and letting them shift in one direction as the knees drop in the opposite direction. We begin rolling onto one side. Give yourself a moment here to integrate this new shape. And then slowly begin to press up, finding a comfortable seated position. You can either perch again on your cushion or simply sit cross-legged on your mat. Feeling those sits bones ground you into the earth. Nice long spine, soft hands, gentle gaze on the earth in front of you. And with our inhale, we'll take a long, deep breath together. Arms rise to the sky. Palms come to touch on the exhale, hands come to heart center. And I thank you all for being with us today for class. I hope to see you throughout the rest of the week. Good luck today. Learn lots, have fun, enjoy one another, and I will see you soon. Thank you.